Welcome everybody to today's episode of PCS Grades of our Q&A. Today we have Todd Ernst with us, who is the founder and CEO of the PCS Grades company. But before we get to that, you guys probably realize our setup looks a little different today and that we are missing somebody with us. And that is because over the weekend, MJ was promoted. She is no longer just a mom, but she is a Mimi. Her daughter gave birth to a beautiful baby boy named Caden over the weekend. And so she is spending time with her daughter, Julie, and their family, enjoying the new bundle of joy and helping the family transition to their new being a family of 3. So we just want to congratulate them on that life-changing experience that they have and their new baby. And hopefully they are not watching because we told her not to, and to take the time to go relax. So congratulations to the Boyce family and your expansion with the new baby. So
hey, Megan, I just got to say though, real quick, if we want to make sure that she is watching, we refer to her as a grandma. And then I guarantee that we know she is now watching just because I said that. I'm pretty sure.
So she is coming for you, Todd. She is coming for you. But getting into our housekeeping rules and everything that we have before we go, if you guys have questions, if you have any issues, drop them in the comments below. We will answer them as we come to them. If we have the answers, if we don't, we usually know who does. And we're happy to take those questions, get them to who can answer them, and be able to come back to you and get those questions and those answers for you. The second thing is that we bring the experts to you. We have a lot of fun in being able to bring folks from Transcom, the moving industry, the housing industry, real estate, and even companies like PCS Grades with Todd here to you to help bring some other resources to the table that you guys have to be able to utilize. If you ever have any issues and problems during your PCS move, there are 2 places that you can always go to. The first one is your local chain of command. They know your situation, they know you, they know what it is that you're going through from point A to point B, so they should be able to step in and help you navigate through that. The second one is going to be your local transportation office. Keep in mind, a lot of them are working remote right now. So if you call them and you can't get through to somebody, send them an email. And you can find those emails on move.mil, hit the customer service tab, input your zip code, and it'll bring up all their contact information for you. The last thing is that we're going to do our part and we're going to help flatten the curve of what's going on. When we help flatten that curve, we're going to flatten Murphy with it. Because let's face it, 2020, we don't need Murphy interfering with anything else that we have going on. So jumping into, last thing, DoD updates. We're really seeing things with the PCS process kind of streamline and even out with what's going on. So I want to ask of you folks, if you have problems that you're seeing, if you have any suggestions for improvements that you would want to see to the process, drop those in the comments below, and I'm happy to take them as feedback back to Transcom to see what we can do to create some new initiatives and new things in place to help improve that process. So now we're going to jump into today. As I mentioned, we've got Todd Ernst here with us. Todd is the founder and CEO of PCS Grades. And me and Todd have known each other for a couple of years and have been able to work together on various PCS initiatives. But Todd, if you could take a moment, introduce yourself, tell us about you.
Thanks, Megan. All right. The first thing for people to know about me is that I absolutely hate doing this stuff. It always seems to work out just fine, but man, I hate being put on the spot like this. And especially on camera. All right, but that's not what you're here for. Yeah, briefly about my background. I originally went to the Air Force Academy and altogether served about 22 and a half years. Did 14 years active duty. I was very fortunate. I was able to fly the whole time, which is certainly one of my many passions. But and you know what, Megan, I think I will just kind of flow in because this part of the story seems to work out. But I was 14 years active duty, and then the rest of my time was in the reserves. And it's important to know that piece because while I was in the reserves, my last 5 years, 4 years in the reserves, and then 1 year after I retired, and I retired now 4 years ago. I was very fortunate to be involved in helping to get a law changed in Congress that involved survivor benefits for the Guard and Reserve. And, I guess I'll just flow into because I know you're going to ask Megan about my why. And so here's the story. So there was had a buddy of mine that in 2003 was involved in an aircraft accident out at Randolph, and he passed away. I was part of what's called a missing man formation. For those who aren't familiar with the missing man, it's where 4 jets are flying over, in this particular case, for a memorial. And just prior to hitting the memorial service, one of those jets pulls up, leaving a very notable space in the formation. So there's one empty space when the jets all fly by. So it's called the missing man formation. I that day was had the honor of being that jet that pulled up. I was solo. I had Oli's flag on board, and after we landed, we presented that flag to the family. So as you can imagine, got to know that family very well over the years. Their son and daughter were 3 and 4 at the time of all of this happening. But fast forward about another 8 years later, and Oli's wife came to me and said that she received a weird letter in the mail. And the letter basically said that, whoops, we didn't account for your husband's pay status that particular day. He was a reservist. And so effective immediately, we're going to take away all of your survivor benefits. And no kidding, 2 weeks later, they were all gone. Turns out they sent out 94 letters to other families at that particular time. And there she was asking me, what could she do? She was given a 1-800 number, and that was it. And so I just started asking a few innocent questions at first. And before I knew it, I was into this 5-year adventure. Ultimately was an oversight in congressional, in law. And so learned a lot about what it means and what it takes. And I know you understand a lot of these pieces too, Megan, as you've been out there advocating, but to ultimately get a law changed, and we were able to thankfully do it. But I tell the story, and the reason why I do is because there's a concept that was reinforced during those years that's very important to me. And I tell you, I think that whole saying that the military takes care of its own, frankly, is kind of a bunch of bunk, because that really means that it's the government that takes care of its own. And guess what? Sometimes that works out in your favor. Unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't. And sometimes you're just left with a 1-800 number. Instead, I really feel like the saying should be, it's the military family that takes care of our own. And that is truly what PCSgrades is built upon. I know we're going to get more into it, but I feel strongly that if you and I, Megan, and others that are on this webinar, if we don't recognize someone in need and stand up and help them and are waiting for someone else to get it done, then a lot of times it just isn't going to get done. So there you go. There's the short version of what you asked me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that saying, that it is military families taking care of military families, because we really do step in to take care of our own. And we've seen that time and time again in the spouse groups and the PCS groups, just how true that is, just folks stepping up to help. So what was the problem within the community that you saw in which PCSgrades then became the solution for?
Yeah, and I know we're going to have a chance to look at some of a little bit inside of PCSgrades as well here. But, it's the same problem that we've all experienced. I mean, we've all PCS'd. I was 14 years active duty. I did it 8 times, and nothing changes. I'm also a military brat, so it doesn't change. We have all of the same, constraints and challenges that we've ever had. And even today, with all the technology that's available to us and a lot of the concepts that are out there, through review websites, none of that really is being brought to bear in our space on this problem set. And so, I think the biggest thing that really is just missing is that one trusted source for the needed information on your biggest must-solve problems. I know we have base housing offices. The reality is a lot of people don't use them too often. They don't frequent them very often for various reasons. A lot of the official resources, like the housing office, are constrained by regulation from endorsing non-federal entities. So they can't tell you that's a great apartment to go live in, or, hey, steer clear of that neighborhood, or that's a good or bad real estate agent. But guess what? You and I and everybody else in the community, we can tell each other that. So I don't know. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's good. There's definitely that gap that was missing, and being able to receive that feedback from other families that have been there and done it before we arrive at that duty station. So, what exactly is PCS grades? How do families utilize this resource to the best advantage, and what makes it unique for military families?
Okay, well, hopefully you'll see the unique parts as I'm going to share. I'm going to do it through some slides. Certainly, just going on and actually looking through the online platform is a great way to do it, but this will be quicker. And if there's anything you think I'm missing, please ask, especially on the unique side. But let me go ahead and see if I can share the screen here. Okay, almost there. We're so close. All right. Are you seeing? Yeah, perfect. Let's go here and we'll jump into it. And Megan, please, if you've got something you want to inject, if you want to ask questions along the way, please do. But this first set of slides that I'm going to talk about is really setting up the pain points for why PCS grades exist. I know that this audience knows these pain points, but I'm going to try to bring you back into the moment a little bit and pull it all together, but certainly show the audience, what we view as those pain points. And I start off with the t-shirt here, not because this audience doesn't know what a PCS is. We all know what a PCS is, but more importantly, I put it up here because we put it on the back of a t-shirt for a reason. And that is, guys, we don't view ourselves, nor do we ever want to be, that big, stuffy corporation. We want to be relatable. We are truly by and for military families. So we're a team of veterans, reservists, and military spouses. But we want to be able to connect with our community in a way that our community wants to be connected with. And we think there's no better way to be relatable than to put it on the back of a t-shirt. And Megan, I think you've heard and seen that our t-shirts people seem to like them as well. So no better place to put it than on the back of a t-shirt. But, getting again a little bit into those pain points that we already know, but just setting it up. Hey, turns out military families move a whole lot. We move great distances. Very often we know that we're moving to locations where we've never lived before. We don't have a choice. We know that we're going to PCS. We probably know roughly the next time that we're going to PCS, but beyond that, there's just a lot that we don't get to control. And so we know that. And from one of the surveys by the National Association of Realtors, where it was talking about why people buy homes, 53% of active service members stated that the whole reason why they did it was because basically they had to. They were forced by their job to move. And often we know this at a time not of your choosing, and with time constraints not of your choosing. And by the way, that's in stark contrast to those who have never served, where only 16% are actually buying homes because they had to move for their job. We also know that military moves are expensive. Again, not a surprise to everybody on this call, but by the way, we get a lot of our data also from Blue Star families. There's a lot of great sources out there, but not a surprise. It's expensive when we move. And then the resources, again, they've changed a little bit, but by and large, they haven't changed a lot. Yeah, social media allows us to interact a little bit more on a regular basis, but we know the bulletin boards, and then, the ever popular 3-ring binders that you can find in the base housing office. This one rife with real estate agent business cards. Feel free to pick the one your favorite. We know that the resources just, aren't fully there. Social media is great. I tell you, I think one of the big things that's missing there, though, oftentimes is once the comments scroll to the bottom of the screen and they're outside of the page, people are turning around and asking the exact same questions all over again. And then, just overall, yeah, it really does kind of suck. And year over year, Blue Star families asking what are the top stressors due to the military lifestyle. And in the last 5 years, both active service members and their spouses have cited it as a top 5 stressor in each of the last 5 years. And this last year in particular, active duty members ranked it at number 1, tied with financial issues at number 1, where the military spouses said it's number 2. And guess what that's second to? It's second to financial issues. And guess where a lot of those financial issues are coming from?
A PCS.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the data shows that. And again, not a surprise to our audience. So here we are. So PCS grades. This is how, we have endeavored to try to help solve a lot of those pain points, a lot of the problems. The first thing, and you'll see here, this is a great screenshot that shows a lot of the pain points that we do address. But to be clear, we're not out there trying to solve every single problem, but we are trying to help solve the biggest must-solve problems. And we see it being these. We know everybody is trying to make that choice. Am I going to live in an off-base neighborhood in the community? Am I going to live on base? And for those who are in the veteran community, because let's be clear, PCS grades is wide open to those who are still serving, and it's wide open to the veteran community too. So the veterans that are out there and their families would certainly find a lot of great information about off-base neighborhoods. So I'll show you just a couple of screenshots, profiles of, we'll show off-base neighborhoods first, but if you're inside the site, this is what you would find for, in this case, Woods of Tab. A couple different screenshots associated with this profile. The big takeaways I would have someone look at is, number one, it's the reviews. So always, it's going to be the reviews that are first and foremost. And where do these reviews come from? Well, they come from folks like you and I on this webinar. So in this particular case, we don't know MTree, but MTree happens to be an Air Force spouse with 12 PCSs. We do have school data right now. We're importing that from greatschools.org. In the future, we see an opportunity where perhaps we'll have the community also grade schools. Right now, we're bringing that information in from greatschools.org. But you can find interactive maps. You can find commute times to this particular neighborhood and distances. You can jump into the street views, and you can take a personal tour. And increasingly, we have photos that people from our audience are also adding in here as well. And then you have a very similar experience for the base housing piece. We certainly know that there's just nothing like this that otherwise exists. It surprises me. So many times getting reminded again and again when we're out there researching various base housing neighborhoods, how little information some of these sites have available for you to research whether or not you want to live on base. So the profiles are very similar to off-base neighborhoods. In all the information that it provides. And of course, again, the biggest takeaway is always going to be those reviews that are coming from our community. And Megan, truly, you feel free to inject. I know I'm just kind of on a roll here, but if there's something you want to throw out there, please do.
No, it's all good. I love being able to see exactly what it's going to look like, and then knowing all of those things that you get with it, just, the location of it, the street view, the reviews of it. It's taking all of those things that you find in the social media posts and from Google and everything and drops it all into one location for military families. You know what?
I appreciate you saying that, and we're hoping that we're doing this in the right organized way so that people can easily, go find the information they're looking for rather than starting their brand new chat there in social media, or heaven forbid, trying to sort through all the other comments that have been out there. And then, a lot of times it's hit and miss in social media because, it just really depends on how many people are actually in the chat at the time talking with you. Where PCS grades, we're aggregating reviews from everywhere and from everyone. So you get the greater opinions aggregated from the entire military and veteran community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that it's military family reviews, but it's reviews for military families, but also by military families. So it's the people that it's our community providing that feedback directly for us, which is huge and important.
And I appreciate it. It's almost like you saw this next slide, Megan, because it's a great segue. We know the other platforms that are out there and that are trying to be, kind of round hole, square peg, used for these purposes. But I tell you, I have no idea who Daha M is at Yelp. And while I may have no idea who Skaker Murphy is, and that's not the important part, I absolutely know who an Air Force spouse is with 9 PCSs. I know who an 06 in the Air Force is that's leaving these reviews. And, we really think of this as our secret sauce behind PCS grades. I'll, a couple of other things, guys. We didn't create PCS grades for the sole purpose of the content outside of the reviews that we have, but we have a gob of great content. Our area guides, you see an example of a Fort Benning area guide here on the left-hand side, but our area guides are certainly some of our top performing content. Highly recommend you check them out at a location near you or one that you're going to be moving to. Of course, here we are on the webinars with Megan and MJ, and what these ladies have done this year, jumping into it because of the pandemic and then just carrying the torch forward. Certainly we've gotten great traction, a lot of great responses out of people over it. Megan, what y'all are doing is amazing. The connections and the resources you're bringing to bear through Transportation Command and just so many others, just awesome stuff. So yeah, we feel like we have some pretty awesome content. I'm going to touch just very briefly here on Lost During My PCS. I know you might want to ask a follow-up question or two, Megan, but for those who know about Lost During My PCS, forgive me for a second while I kind of explain it to the others, but Lost During My PCS is a closed Facebook group that actually PCS Grades is behind it. And we don't put ourselves out there in a big way in Lost During My PCS, because we're way more interested in having the natural dynamic of what's going on with our crazily engaged community. We don't really want to interfere with that too much. But in Lost During My PCS, it started out primarily as a place, and thanks to Bobby Pack, who's the original founder, and then ultimately brought PCS Grades in. But thanks to Bobby for creating this. But original intent is, hey, I lost a certain item. I can't find it. Let me go to the crowd here and see if they can help me find it. And Megan, you know this, even to this day, we're seeing success stories all the time. And some of them are compelling, emotional success stories, but still awesome to see that dynamic. But, increasingly over the years, it's also turned into a little bit more of just, hey, I need help during my PCS. Here's my situation. May deal with household goods, may deal with something else, but it's really just amazing to see how fast the crowd comes to support people. And you watch it, Megan. Sometimes we get the venting, and that's okay, nothing wrong with that. But so many times it's way more about the productive help that people are able to bring to bear because of their own experiences. So. Lost During My PCS, yeah, PCS Grades is behind it, but you won't see us certainly in the foreseeable future, way out in front of the audience. Any thoughts, Megan? Yeah.
No, why we're here talking about, let's just finish talking about it. Since we've got, this group, as Todd said, it's a closed group. It's, just over 30,000 members in that group right now. But it started off primarily as a way for folks, hence the title Lost During My PCS, for people that lost an item during a PCS. It got shuffled around in a storage warehouse somewhere, or, I had an extra box of something show up that in my shipment that doesn't belong to me, trying to find the owner and reunite them. Since then, that still happens frequently within the group, but it's really evolved into a more well-rounded resource for a lot of families that are PCSing, asking questions about, my movers told me this, is it correct? We're going through our claims and I'm lost with this piece. How do I navigate through it? And just, with everybody's collective experience in that group, being able to provide feedback there, being able, to help, usher them through whatever process that it is, or to provide pre-packing tips, how to protect themselves before getting started. It's just, filled with a lot of resources, a lot of information. And as admins of the group, we do our best to try, to cite the Defense Travel Regulation and the Joint Travel Regulation to give you exactly the wording that comes out of it, to be able to hold feet to the fire when something is going wrong or doesn't seem right, that, you have a way to back yourself up. We give you that information. So we do keep it just to military folks, service members, spouses, so it's just a safe place for them to be able to ask their questions without fear of reprimand from the moving industry or from their local office or anything. But no, it really is a great group, a well-rounded resource. And, so many times we see people say, I wish I would have known about this group 3 moves ago. So if you fall into the military community, definitely go check it out and see what it is.
And, while you were talking, I thought of a few things. The first one I'll emphasize is Lostering My PCS, I really see as a microcosm of the greater PCS grades experience. The whole concept of the military family taking care of each other is front and center, real time, live, and you get to watch it play out at Lostering My PCS. The other thing I'll say is if there was one thing I could ask of that audience is, for the folks, because we see it all the time too. We see folks go out there and they're either maybe giving a kudos, it could be to a moving company and say, wow, guys, I had my best move ever, and it was with this company. Or, sometimes it's those folks saying, hey guys, I just had my worst move ever. Here's who I would look out for, as a moving company. The thing I would always encourage, and as much as we can, is people go capture that also in the reviews on PCSgrades, because you're going to be able to impact and help and influence a much wider audience if you do that. And then the last thing I'll say about it is, and this, Megan, and Megan is intricately involved in Lostering My PCS as one of our admins and just so much more. She really guides the whole platform and the whole group. But this group gets attention. It gets attention from media, it gets attention in national media, it gets attention from congressional staffers, it gets attention from Transcom and the moving companies and so many others, which is why, oh, by the way, it's very important to make sure we only allow the right people to be in here and we guard. But know that there are a lot of folks who are aware of Lostering My PCS and very interested in, the things, the pulse issues that are being discussed inside of Lostering My PCS. Anything else on that one, Megan?
No, I think it basically covers it. I mean, it really is a great group. People know about the group. The moving industry knows about the group. I get a lot of questions from them, all the time, asking. A lot of them want to join the group and be a part of it. And we always have to, bring them off the ledge of it's for military only. It's for just our community. It's their place to go to get the information that they need. But in terms of speaking about the reviews, when we see all those questions on there, hey, has anybody had this company for their move? Or, what can you tell me about it? We always suggest, you'll see me comment a lot, go check out PCSgrades to see if there's another review there. If somebody leaves, a post about how good or how bad their experience was, we always jump on that too, saying, hey, while you're taking the 2 minutes to fill out your customer satisfaction survey on the DPS website for the DoD, take a minute and jump on PCSgrades too and leave, a review there as well to help other military families down the line. But no, I think that really covers it with what the group is.
I think we beat that horse. Let me see here. We're at the tail end of my slides. In fact, I think this is the last slide. The other thing I'll tell you is you certainly know that, we were founded and we're run by, a team of spouses and military veterans. But I'll also take a moment here to highlight some of our corporate partners because we partnered here just this year with Realogy. You probably don't know Realogy by name or Realogy Military Rewards by name, but I guarantee you know the companies that they own, Caldwell Banker and Century 21 and a host of others. And they've been out there in this space for 30 plus years, working alongside, I'm not supposed to say their names, but I'm telling you, everybody knows the names. Some of the most trusted insurance brands that are in our military space, and credit union brands that are out there. Realogy has been the ones behind them powering their real estate programs. So we're really excited to be partnered with them. The opportunities that we have as one big combined program, I tell you, there's a lot more to come, y'all. And that's it for now, Megan, on just what is PCSgrades. I think a lot of the other questions will go faster, but I hope that helps.
Yeah, so exactly who is PCSgrades for, and how much does it cost for a family to utilize it?
Okay, well, awesome, thank you. So obviously we spent a lot of time talking about those who are still wearing the uniform and their family members. We know those are where the biggest pain points are. Again, we don't have a lot of choice. We can't just say, never mind, it's a bad market, I'll move next year. So for sure, it's for those who are still serving and their families. But to be clear, very clear, is we're wide open to the veteran community as well. So military veterans and their families is what we say. And how much does it cost? The awesome answer here is it costs nothing, y'all. Go in there and use the resources, whether you're renting, whether you're going to live in military housing, whether you're buying or selling. You come in here and use all of these free resources. There is a money piece tied somewhere in there. I don't want people to be surprised because we do make more for-profit. I like to be very clear, and I like to say that we're a socially responsible for-profit. But where the money is tied, it's not any money coming directly out of your hands. We get funded through things like referral fees and transaction fees on the back end. If you decide that you want to use one of the agents at Realogy Military Awards, ultimately that's where we would see a payday. Oh, by the way, that's also where we get the money and the funding to turn right around and hand it back to you in the form of that rebate if you're buying or selling. So it doesn't cost anything, but yeah, just to be clear for those who are wondering, you bet that's one of our profit centers in the ways that we make revenue and keep the lights on.
Yeah. So folks watching, you need a moving company review, you need a neighborhood review or anything. It's completely free to you to jump on there, go check it out. And then when you're moving on to your next location, jump back on there and leave a review of your experience that you had there as well. So in the relocation space of things, there are so many companies that are out there that have a hand in some aspect of relocating. So what sets PCSgrades apart from other companies in this relocation space?
Geez, it's almost like I expected you to ask that question. Thanks, Megan. But it is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you, in the first place, I think there are some folks that are doing a lot right. We're not, there are some other great brands that are out there and at various levels. Certainly there's a couple of others that we know of that, are very much the buy and for, come up through the grassroots ranks that are out there. But I would still greatly differentiate us from them as well. And then I would tell you to think bigger, guys. Think of the Zillows that are out there in the world, the Home Lights, if you know them, the Quicken Loans, Veterans Uniteds, because we are certainly aspire to be at those levels so we can provide a much greater service. But with that context in mind, I'll tell you a few of them. One, we're not the big stuffy corporation. I hope you get that impression. We're truly a team of veterans and military spouses. And as long as I'm at the helm and I have no plans on going anywhere, that's what we will always be. But, I'll tell you the other big thing that we're doing, where a lot of the others are out there saying, hey, we're the experts and we'll give you the answers that you need. We believe exactly the opposite. I don't pretend to be the expert. Instead, we're tapping into the expertise that comes from our greater community. So I didn't invent crowdsourcing. I didn't invent review websites, but we're bringing to bear those technologies and those concepts that we have been using for years now. But we're bringing them to bear in this space in a way to be able to tap into the aggregate expertise of everybody. Let's see here. I'm kind of looking through some notes right here. The give back. We talked about if you're buying or selling a home, that there is a cashback rebate. And I'll be clear, there's different rules in different states. Some states, allow it to be cash. Some require it to be in a different form. So it depends on what state you're in specifically, how that works. But I kind of hate referring to it as a cashback rebate because that really doesn't incorporate the full concept. The concept in my mind is it's a give back. And for all those reasons that we talked about, the pain points, for those who are still wearing the uniform, for those who are veterans, I see the give back as a way of saying thank you for your service. So we have a give back where a lot of these other organizations don't. I certainly talked about our partnership at this point with some of the nations. I'm sure you guys know those names: Century 21, Caldwell Banker, ERA, Better Homes and Gardens. But at this point now, and we've only really been in the relationship for the last handful of months, so we're still growing into it. But it's some of those key partnerships that are also starting to really set us apart from some of the others. So it gives us access to 30 plus years of proven processes, technology, a lot of lessons that they have learned working with those big trusted insurance and credit union brands that I'm guessing everybody knows. So I don't know, unless you can think of a few others, Megan. I think that's that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, I think the big thing that what draws me towards PCS grades is, as we've talked about numerous times already today, is that it's something for the military community, that's by the military community, that there's so much input from the reviews from military families that are for other military families, and just the company makeup as a whole, veterans, military spouses. So for me, the big thing that really makes this company unique is the whole, it truly is for the military community, by the military community.
I tell you, because you're right. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like it's almost cliche when we're out here and people are looking for what's the right marketing slogan. And by the way, I hate thinking of any of this as a marketing thing. There's not an angle that we're after. We're truly just trying to help the community, and we feel like good will come to us if we do it right. But yeah, this is certainly one of those times where one of the cliches is true. I feel like we really, when we say by and for, I feel like we really show it and act it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So many military families, PCS every year, multiple times. So during your process with PCS grades, what has been the biggest challenge facing military families as a PCS?
Okay, well, it's a loaded question because you and I know that there's not it's hard to just single out one biggest challenge. And I know we talked about it in the slides. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of challenges. And again, more challenges, more unique challenges, and a lot more of them, for those still wearing the uniform. But, I'll start with, we don't necessarily get to pick the timing. The time constraints themselves to uproot from one location. Again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but the amount of effort that it takes to properly uproot from where you're living, that alone is a significant challenge. But then to set everything back up in a new location, when the repercussions for your choices could very much impact your child's education, maybe just the safety and security even of your family, and certainly has potential repercussions for your financial well-being and could be your long-term financial well-being. Mm-hmm. I've known families that have made the wrong choices, or maybe they made what was the right choice at the time, but the circumstances changed on them, and it put them in significant long-term, financial turmoil. I'd say the unknown is a huge challenge because we often move to places we've never lived before. So because of those time constraints, and we got to figure it out right now, there's so much to figure out. So the unknown, I would certainly drive home the trust thing, because, with all of that as a backdrop, finding trusted information, we don't have time to mess around with the wrong information. We need to find that trusted information, and certainly the expense. We've talked about the give back, but I tell you, I want to end on a note here, though. We're talking about kind of the doom and gloom of what is involved in a PCS, but let's be clear, PCSing is exciting too. As much as we were able to, and I'm sure a lot of other folks listening in do this too, we try to just, even the PCS itself, when we were actually traveling, we always tried to include some vacation time, some sightseeing time, some true family time. And while it stinks to leave your friends behind, it's so exciting to go make new friends. And that's for the grownups, and that's for the kids. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of anxiety there too, but PCSing is fun and it's exciting. And, once you get into that routine, for those of us who really embrace the military lifestyle, you sit around in one location for too long and you're ready for your next PCS. Where are we going to next? So yeah, I don't want it to all just seem doom and gloom. It's not. There's a lot of excitement and fun involved too.
Yeah, and we've been fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it, that family that was preparing to PCS to one location and then quickly had those orders rescinded, and then surprise orders to another location that was not completely on the radar anywhere. So just the timing and the unknown, just, when you plan for one location and suddenly you realize that house in that neighborhood that you were set on in that school district for your kids is no longer happening, and now you got to figure out something else somewhere else. So that's definitely, a big challenge that for families. And then, as you said, just the journey of it, and just being used to it. I know we've been here at our location for a year. We're going to be here for another 2 years. And for us, that is very uncommon. We've PCS 10 times in the last 15 years. So we PCS on average every 18 to 24 months. And so knowing that, like, I'm not moving next year on our normal cycle, it feels really odd and weird. And I feel like I'm forever in that state of like PCS purging every summer. Like, I know we're like this year, I knew we weren't moving, but like, you get stuck in that cycle of like, but it's PCS season. Like, I should go clean through our closets still, like, even though we're not going. So there is some downsides to PCSing, but there are a lot of good sides that are to it also. And always the joy of when you get reunited with one of your best friends at a new duty location. You guys get to, start over again and pick up where you left off and enjoy another place together has always been a fun and exciting thing for me.
Absolutely. Megan, I know darn near this whole webinar is one big commercial, it feels like, but I'm still going to plug because, in the situation that you found yourself in and with all the things that I was just talking about, it's that much more important to go find those trusted resources because you didn't have the luxury of time and trying to scramble and get stuff, just on the interwebs, can sometimes be pretty misleading. So, as we continue to grow out PCS grades, as we continue to get the military and veteran community to throw more and more reviews in here, and we become an even stronger database, hopefully the next time, hopefully it never happens to you, but the next time it does, Megan, you got that location where you can just go find quickly information that's needed and more importantly, trusted.
Yeah, absolutely. So at what point during the PCS process should a family start looking at using PCS grades as a resource?
I would say now, if you're facing your next PCS, if you don't know anything about us, I'd say go in, and kick the tires a little bit. And of course, I would highly encourage people to please leave a review on wherever the heck you live now or wherever you lived before. But so I would say as soon as you learn about your next potential PCS and you start getting an idea of what those locations might be, go start getting an early idea of what the neighborhoods look like, what the base housing looks like. Read the area guides, for instance. I'd say it's important for you to help decide whether you're going to live on and off base. But I'd say we also really shine when it comes to the living off base part, because yes, we have the neighborhoods very similar to like we have them on base. But this is also where if you're looking to work with a real estate professional, where you have a trusted place to be able to go for us to get you connected to that right experienced real estate professional, be it a real estate agent, and more here, we're going to be bringing on board some mortgage lender relationships that we're going to be excited about as well. But the last thing is kind of almost what I started with, and that is, anytime you want to pay it forward, please go to PCS grades. You may not be facing your next PCS. You may be thinking, man, I'm not moving forever. You may be a veteran right now saying, I'm never going to move. But doggone it, you can help everybody else out. Go in there and fill out a review on your current, wherever you're living, location, or any previous location you've ever lived in before. Just go in and start leaving reviews, guys.
Yeah, so that kind of leads into our next question. If you could ask to do one thing with PCS grades, what would it be? Leaving a review, and what else?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm almost, it's just to turn it into repetitive, or being very repetitive. But my answer is go use it. Yeah. Go use the site. We have locations for you to be able to go and provide feedback. So, guys, this thing is only going to get better as we continue to get feedback from the community. I truly mean it when I say that this thing only works if we all work together. So go use the site. Use it when it's your time to relocate. And please submit those reviews. And then, the last thing I would say is if you like what you're seeing and what you're hearing here, spread the word. Tell other people to do the same.
So we've talked about it a lot. Reviews, as Brittany in her comment says, reviews. We talk about it so much during this webinar. So why should a military member or a spouse go and leave a review on PCSgrades?
I think it's a great question, because I could see, if I didn't have all the background of PCSgrades, trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes. I think sometimes, it could even, an individual, I could see them saying, hey, I leave one review, what is it really going to do? Mm-hmm. Well, in the first place, if all we have are, one review here or there, 2 or 3, in the grand scheme, it's not going to help a lot of folks. Truly, this thing works more and more in our favor as we aggregate more and more reviews. Mm-hmm. So let's be clear. First of all, it can help you or a friend the next time they relocate. The reviews can certainly help that way. But I'll tell you what, guys, here's where the bigger vision, here's where the bigger concept is, and that is the importance of data. Because data is power, and data drives decisions. And if you want to impact the policymakers and the decision makers at Transcom, at other places in the DoD, I tell you, if you want to know what truly scares privatized housing companies and the moving companies themselves, it's the power of reviews. And it's the power of these reviews as we continue to scale. When we're small, we can be ignored. When the data gets bigger, we cannot be ignored. If you want real accountability, and not asking the DoD to please go create accountability, not asking the companies to please be more transparent. How about let's just take that power into our own hands, and let's create the accountability and the transparency and the leverage that we want. And we can truly do that if we have data, more reviews, more power, and we can make positive change. Imagine someone like you as an individual advocate, and I know you work with others too, Megan, but yourself individually, some of the other great organizations that are out there advocating on the Hill or advocating at the Pentagon for real change. Imagine if they have access to our data and what they can do with it. So anyhow, I know it's passionate. I know it's a big vision, but I'm telling you guys, it's straight up true.
Yeah, I was going to say my favorite one is the moving company reviews. I know at the end of our moves, everybody should be filling out their customer service satisfaction survey on DPS to finish their move, but nobody else sees the results of that. Nobody else gets to see, besides Transcom, the DoD, and the companies when their scores get configured, nobody gets to see that information. And so being able to leave a review on PCSgrades for how your moving company performed, it goes so far in helping another family to let them know, like, hey, I got to sign that same company. It looks like they did amazing. So maybe I don't need to freak out as much as what I am, or seeing, like, hey, they really didn't seem like they were up to par. Maybe I should take the time to pre-pack something or, gather my high value items and take the pictures of them to make sure, things are good. So just the power of our voices collected in this forum of being able to leave reviews for other families is just so powerful. So we've talked about so much today, so much information, what PCSgrades is, the why behind it, how it came to be what it is. So anything else, Todd, that you want to share with our community, with our viewers of anything that you want to?
Man, I'm a broken record and I get it. But guys, we welcome your questions. We welcome your feedback. This thing's only going to work if we're actually doing it in the way that we all want it. So please reach out to us in all the ways that you can, and you can find those on the site at PCSgrades.com. But obviously the last big plug I'll make is reviews. We need your reviews. Ask people to please go give reviews. And so other than that, let's go out there and let's try to take care of each other, y'all, because if we don't do it and we wait for someone else to do it, it doesn't always turn out that way. So Megan, I can't thank you enough. And if MJ was here, again, just to be clear, she's not here because she's a brand new grandma, which means she's now listening in though. But no, hats off, Megan, to you and MJ for creating this webinar series. For your dedication to it, for the relationships that you guys are bringing to bear as resources for our community. for the way that you're getting the word out. And then I'm truly thankful for you taking the time and allowing me to be on the show today. I know I'm the consolation prize because MJ couldn't be here, but I'll still take it.
No, so everybody understands Todd does not like being in front and center like this, but with it being PCS grades, and being on his company's basically TV show webinar, we wanted him to come and be able to have an opportunity to share, the why, the everything behind what PCS grades is and why families need to know about it and how great of a resource it was, coming straight from the man who created it himself. So we are very thankful, Todd, in your busy schedule to be able to take time out and come and join us and to share this information with folks that maybe have heard of PCS grades but didn't know exactly what it was or what it was about or how to utilize it or who exactly it was for. And so we're thankful to be able to have that to share with everybody.
Well, doggone it, Megan. Thank you. Thank you.
So everybody else, if you got questions, anything, leave them in the comments. We'll come back and check on them and be able to answer any questions that you all have. But until next week, just remember that this too shall PCS. Bye.